Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living here in beautiful Boise, Idaho. My name is Becky Blake, and I'm this week's featured vocalist. We're very glad that you're here. I can see clearly now the rain has gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, sunshiny day. I think I can make it now. The pain has gone. All of the bad feelings have disappeared. Here is that rainbow I've been praying for. It's gonna be a bright, sunshiny day. Look all around, there's nothing but blue skies. Look straight ahead, nothing but blue I can see clearly now the rain has gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, sunshiny day. Yeah, it is. It's gonna be a bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, sunshiny day. Welcome.
Becky Blake is in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Becky Blake. Woo! And the sunshine has come forth with her voice. Good morning. And good morning to all of you who are joining us right now on Facebook Live. Whatever time of the day that you are joining us, thank you so much for being with us. We love you. We appreciate you. We feel your energy behind this camera lens that feels so far away. And for those of you who are in the sanctuary with us this morning, wow, what a delight to see almost everybody's face. Listen, here's the rule about face masks. We recognize that we're all adult people and we can take care of ourselves. If you are comfortable wearing a mask, wear a mask. If you are immunized and you just feel like you had your vaccine and you feel all is well, do whatever works for you. If, however, anybody in the sanctuary is uncomfortable, when someone comes up to them, just lovingly, just put your hands up, and which it will be our signal where we're not quite ready for the hugs. Some of us are, right? Me? Give me a hug right now. Give it to me. Others of us are not quite ready. We're doing this coming back in our own time, in our own way of being comfortable. I just want to say welcome to you, those of you who are safely distancing in the church and with us this morning. Well, you've already heard the sunshine break forth in the voice of Miss Becky Blake. How delighted and honored we are to have her with us this morning. And of course, leading us with our music every week, holding this church together for the last 14, 16 months, musically, Mr. Rex Miller, our musical director, with our amazing drummer, Phil Bowden, yes. And my favorite color guitar, I'm just going to say, sapphire blue. We've got Mr. Ted McClurg holding the bass for us. Oh, so I just want to say thank you. You know, coming back after being closed and or being limited for so long, rebuilding our infrastructure is not easy. But we are just rebuilding it, and people are coming forth. Like, for example, our beloved Rob Compton, who's back there on the sound, and Donna Sheedy, who's on the camera. J.J. Bullock, once again, your board president, is greeting you and taking care of any children that might show up. And this morning, I'm proud to tell you that we do have hospitality this morning. So just listen, and even during service, if you feel like you want to get up and get a cup of coffee, just feel free to do so, and just do whatever makes you comfortable. Just take your cups and so forth with you when you go. Thank you to J.J. Bullock once again, who got hospitality ready by individually wrapping the cookies and so forth. So we still have some what we want to call pandemic era restrictions in place here, but for the most part, we're asking you to do what is comfortable for you. Once again, I just simply want to say welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, and let's just take a few minutes now. Just allow our energy to soften. As we invite our practitioner of the day to join us, Miss Jo Hughes. Jo Johnson Hughes is coming forward with her candle lighter. Let's just take a moment to take a deep, cleansing breath right now as we prepare ourselves for the sacredness of the Holy Word of Spirit spoken through Jo Hughes.
It is my honor to introduce Robert Hughes, who will light the world religion candles from the Christ candle. We perform this ceremony to acknowledge that all people and all faiths come from the one great universal presence, which we call Spirit. In lighting these candles, we honor the one family of humanity, made up of over 4,000 religions and spiritual traditions throughout the world. We light the first candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. The second candle is lit to honor all forms of Christianity, which teaches the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light the third candle for Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. As we light the fourth candle for Judaism, that honors the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the final candle for all forms of New Thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. Let us quiet our minds and open our hearts to the spiritual message being sung by Becky Blake.
Words to say, but I'm opting for silence. So many days to live. I think I'm sitting this one out, 'cause something I've been chasing finally stopped to let me catch it. Something I've been dreaming of and longing for. It's a whisper in my ear, it's the shiver up my spine. It's the gratitude I feel for all that's right. It's a mystery appeal that's been granted me tonight. This peace. Something so elusive, something close but far away. It's the home that I can't live in yet, somewhere in outer space. And Sometimes I barely miss it when I walk into the room. The curtains are still swaying and I feel the air move. It whispers in my ear and it shivers up my spine. It's the gratitude I feel for all that's right. It's a mystery appeal that's been given me tonight. This peace. No time to grab the camera, no time to write it down. Just time enough to breathe it in and linger. It's a whisper in my ear, it's a shiver up my spine. It's the gratitude I feel for all that's right. It's a mystery appeal that's been granted me tonight. This peace. This
Let us pray. As we are sitting here together on this beautiful Sunday morning in this sacred place, surrounded, as it were, by a sea of God, an infinite source of life, of love, of creation, the one who made it all, everything that we see and even those things we cannot see. And so I know that this same source that created all that is, created me, and dwells within me in my innermost parts. And that source flows through me and manifests as me. And what I know for myself, I know for each and every person hearing this prayer. I know that we are all creations of the one sacred Spirit, the one Creator, and that same Spirit resides in each and every person, waiting for recognition, waiting to come forth and manifest through us, as us. And so from this place of unity, I bless this service today. I bless each and every person participating, whether in the congregation or listening from Facebook Live, wherever you are. And I bless a special blessing for Reverend Jackie Holland as she brings forth the message that Spirit has given her to share with us today. And I am so very thankful. I'm thankful for this day. I'm thankful for each and every person here. And I am thankful for the truth of my word as I release it into the law, letting it be. And so it is.
Please put your hands together for our great friend, Miss Becky.
I don't want to be afraid every time I face the waves. I don't want to be afraid. I don't want to be afraid. And I don't want to fear the storm just because I hear it roar. I don't want to fear the storm. I don't want to fear the storm. Peace, be still, say the word, and I will set my feet upon the sea till I'm dancing in the deep. Peace, be still, you are here, so it is well. Even when my eyes can't see, I will trust the voice that speaks. I'm not gonna be afraid, 'cause these waves are only waves. I'm not gonna be afraid. No, I'm not gonna be afraid. And I'm not gonna fear the storm. You are greater than its roar. I'm not gonna fear the storm. No, I'm not gonna fear it. Oh, peace, be still. Say the word, and I will set my feet upon the sea till I'm dancing in the deep. Peace, be still. You are here, so it is well. Even when my eyes can't see, I will trust the voice that speaks. Peace, peace over me. Let faith rise up, oh heart, believe. Let faith rise up in me. Let faith rise up, oh heart, believe. Let faith rise up in me. Let faith rise up, oh heart, believe. Let faith rise up in me. Peace, be still. Say the word, and I will set my feet upon the sea till I'm dancing in the deep. Peace, be still. You are here, so it is well. Even when my eyes can't see, I will trust the voice that speaks. Peace, peace over me. Oh, peace, peace over
Becky Blake, ladies and gentlemen, Becky Blake. Whew. Becky, where are you performing this week? Anywhere we can announce? Woo. So she's at 365 on Friday, and then she's at the Parmer Winery. And if you want to know about her, you can go to our cslboise.org and go to the eBlast and scroll to the musicians section. Click on her photograph, and it'll take you to your website. You have your website updated, right? Well, if she doesn't have her website updated, 365 Friday night. So, good morning. Good morning. Oh, I want to tell you a story about a little boy who went to the fair with his father one time. And you know those balloon kind of things that are made out of plastic that you try to knock down and they keep coming back up? What do you call those things? I don't know what they're called. one of those inflatable clowns. That's what it was. It was an inflatable clown. And of course, the harder you hit it, the faster it comes back up. Any of you ever played with any of those things? They're hilarious. But anyway, so the harder you hit it, the faster it comes back in. And the father, thinking that this was a wonderful lesson in engineering, said to his son, well, how do you think that happens, son? And the little boy, who was about 8 years old, took a few minutes to think about it, and he said, I think he stands up on the inside. Now, that's not engineering, but it sure is spirituality. I think he gets back up on the inside. So when we get back up on the inside, we can stand up quickly on the outside. I love that metaphor for what's happening to all of us right now as we are moving out of the pandemic era and we're moving into the new world, into the new way of being. And I've been speaking about this for the last couple of weeks. And what I want to say is that's why the name of this talk is called Now is the Time to Step Out. Now is the time to step out. How are we stepping out? I think that one of the ways that's most important is to realize that what we're talking about here is listening to that inner voice. That inner voice and having the courage to step out in a new way, our new selves. You know, we've kind of been in hibernation. This is a time to step out in a new way as our new selves. Reintroducing our new selves to our friends and getting to know them in a new way, in a different way. Don't just jump back into the old relationship thinking those people are who they used to be, because they're not any more than you are who used to be. And it takes courage to listen to that small, still voice within us and then to act on whatever it is that we are hearing so that we can move into our own authenticity as never before as adults. And yes, for our children, but most of all for all of us. As never before have we had the opportunity to step out expressing our authenticity in a new and a different way. Now, it feels uncomfortable for me. A little bit, I will acknowledge, because I've made some new agreements with myself about things that would and would not be allowed in my life anymore. And so I find it difficult quite often to express that to other people when they come into my environment, because they're coming into my vibration thinking that it's the same, and it's really not, is it, guys? It really is not. We've learned so much. We've grown so much. We've changed so much. We are so amazing. I love that word, authenticity. I love authenticity. When I speak about authenticity, you know, really we have the highest viewership. We used to sell more CDs when we were into doing that. When we spoke about authenticity, so that tells me that there are more and more people that are discovering their authentic self within, like that inflatable clown that will get up from the inside. So I'm talking to us today about our authenticity and moving into a new time, stepping out in a new way. It's about stepping out past anything that we have created for ourselves up to this point. Yeah, we've created great lives up to this point based on what we knew then, and now we know something different. Paul Tillich, of course, the great theologian, said, he calls it the integrated life. He calls it the integrated life. And he says the integrated life is what we have when we let ourselves surpass ourselves. Ooh, doesn't that just give you goosebumps? When we let ourselves surpass ourselves. It's not about surpassing anybody else. It's not about being better than, learning more than someone else. It's about surpassing ourselves. When we step out beyond our previous boundaries, between our previous barriers, past our fears and our self-imposed limitations, it means that we have to act to reveal more of our authentic self. And there are just really two ways to do that. There's just really two ways to grow, to transform, as we like to call change in religious science. One is just to sit and listen to those ideas and insights until, quite frankly, we can't stand it anymore. We read, we go to workshops, we go to seminars, we listen, and then it's like, ah! And then we split wide open. And then we split wide open. And then we leave everything behind us that we have created up to this point because somebody somewhere said, in order to transform, you got to completely change. No, that is not what I am talking about. I am talking about a kinder way. We don't have to destroy everything that we have created in our lives. We don't have to do that. We just can build from where we are. We've created our lives with the greatest amount of knowledge that we had, the greatest amount of awareness that we had up to that point. And now we have a different awareness. And now we have different knowledge. But that doesn't mean throwing out. That's like Becky deciding that she's going to become, I don't know. If you weren't a musician, what would you be? What would you be, Becky? Okay, it's like Becky saying, I'm going to become an astrophysicist. I love it, girl, and I know if anybody in the world can do it, you can. But what that means is that what we're saying is here that many of us believe that in order to become that astrophysicist, Becky would have to throw out everything that she has been up to this point. She would have to stop singing. She would have to stop being her bubbly, amazing, whatever self it is. And I'm saying no. She can be an astrophysicist. She can be the singing astrophysicist. I think the world needs a singing astrophysicist right now. That's what I'm thinking. Thank you, Becky, for bringing that to us. When our authentic self starts listening to that still small voice within us, as the Christian Bible tells us, that still small voice within us, which in religious science we teach is the God within us. The power and the presence and the source of the great Creator that has created all that is seen and unseen and is the very breath that you take, the very step that you take, the very life that you live. It is that which is within you, that is you, as you always. When we listen to that still small voice, stirring our lives, it is not telling us to walk away from everything. It is not saying to us that the only way we can know that you are changed and transformed is to be something that you never were before. No. That voice is saying, you are my beloved, in whom I am well pleased now. Now. And who is growing and becoming greater and greater every single day. We can act in alignment with that still small voice. But it is not always easy to do so. I have a little plaque on my desk at home with a quote by Albert Schweitzer that says this. It says, the hardest thing that I have ever had to do is to follow the guidance that I prayed for. And honestly, it's been difficult because I have prayed for some things that have become manifested in my life, but before I wanted them. Like I wanted that, but later. Give me some time to grow into that. And since we know, don't we, that every word that we speak is a prayer, we got to watch what we're saying, because when we pray and it's given to us, it's hard for us to follow it if we really didn't mean it. Listening to that still small voice and speaking our word into the law of attraction, the law of cause and effects, the law of mental equivalence, the law of vibratory frequency tells us that if we say it, believe it, and speak it, it is ours now. So specificity in prayer and speech needs to be something that this Southern girl needs to learn. I'm just saying. We pray for guidance. We pray for change. We pray for divine right relationship. We pray for whatever it is that you're praying for. And when it comes to us, we don't know what to do with it. And we become spiritually schizophrenic. We become like schizophrenic about it. It was like, okay, I thought I wanted, now I don't know if I want it, and maybe I do want it, and I don't know what I should do. And then we stop and become absolutely frozen in place. So I'm talking about stepping out here. I'm talking about knowing what we want, when we want it, how it's going to show up. Not outlining, but being specific and being ready for it. Because if you speak it and the law of life gives it to you, the law of life is saying you're ready for it. So I don't know what's going on in your life, like what's going on in my life, but here's what I finally had to say. Okay, here it is. I must be ready for it. I wouldn't have it. That's what I'm just sharing with you today. Instead of sitting there until we explode. There's a distinction between the kind of action that I'm talking about right now. We have to be ready to take action on that which the still small voice has spoken to us. We have to be ready to speak to that. And I want to say this, that there's a difference in the kind of action that I'm talking about and the action of going to seminars and church on Sunday. Yes? And speaking affirmations, etc., etc. Look, we go to seminars, we go to church, we go to workshops, we do all of that, and we look around at all the options and the opportunities that are there, and oh boy, aren't they there. Now that we're starting to open up, I'm telling you, there are many. They're all. And we get to choose. We get to choose these opportunities or our possibilities. We get to choose them. And then we choose them, and when we set goals, and then we start to act on those goals. And that's a great way to do. Look, there's nothing wrong to do with that. I'm telling you, I do it every New Year's Day. I say, okay, what is mine to do? Who am I to be this year? Now, what goals do I want to accomplish? Now, what actions must I take? How must I step out? But that's not what I'm talking about really here. I'm talking about taking the kind of actions when we're grounded in our divinity. When we are grounded into the spirit of life that is who and what we are. I'm talking about stepping out from our divine place. Not from our human place. When we are grounded in our divinity, when we're grounded in the dream that God gave to us, then we step out. Then we step out in our action. And then we step out in confidence and security and self-assurance that all is well and that whatever comes to me, I'm ready for. I'm ready for. When we step out and take the next step from our divine place, our connected place with God. Earlier this week, I started asking myself a question as I was preparing for this talk. I started asking myself the question, what am I saying with my life? What am I saying with my life? When people look at me, what do they see? Okay, I'm going to tell you something funny. It is very interesting to me how people know who you are even when you don't think they know who you are. And I'm talking about who you are divinely, intrinsically. Last night, I did some work all day yesterday, and I as I was driving home, I realized that a store that I had really wanted to go to yesterday, I really had wanted to go there because they got a memorial sale going on, you know what I mean. And I mean, what's a memorial sale? That term, like memorial sale, is weird. But anyway, they have a sale honoring Memorial Day. And so I said, okay, the store's going to close in 35 minutes. I have just enough time in my paint-spattered clothes, and I'm talking paint-spattered clothes that I've been wearing for 2 months. You all know the story about me renovating this little house. And after working all day, but I thought I'm just going to rush in and just get a feel for what this particular thing costs that I want to buy for as I move. I want a new bed. Okay, there it is. I want a new bed. But anyway, so, okay, now you know everything you need to know about me. But here's the thing. So I want a new bed, so I go in paint-spattered clothes, and I walk in, and this lovely dressed, coiffed, beautiful woman walks up to me and kind of goes, "You've been working, huh?" Yeah. So we had literally, I'm telling you something, literally we probably had 20 minutes for me to lay on a bed, look at a bed, talk, and whatever. And at the very end of this conversation, this woman knew who I was. Not that I was a minister, but she knew me. And then I told her I was also looking for a couch. And so here's what she said to me. She said, "Look, I've never met you before. I don't know you. But you're really a feisty little old lady, so this is the couch." Now the fact is that the couch was bright pink and would never work for me. But I was so honored that it was who I was, that she got the essence of who I was. Now, I wish I had the courage to step out and buy that pink couch, but I don't, so I'm sorry. But that's the way it is. What I'm saying about is you have to step out. You have to step out, grounded in really who you are. And when I ask myself, what is my life saying about me? And then this woman told me from her perspective what my life was saying. It made me laugh. And I thought, wow, that's how people see me, huh? Pink couch. I don't know, Lisa, I don't think so, huh? No, I don't know. Anyway, what is my life saying about me? When people look at your life, if somebody was studying your life and not listening to what you're saying specifically, or certainly not what you're wearing, what would your life say who you are? Would it say you're trustworthy? Would it say you care about other people? Would it say that you are a divine being living your life the best way that you can? Would it say who you are and what you want it to say? Would it say you're a person with good self-esteem or self-worth? Would it say you're a person who's making a difference in the world? Or would it say that you're a person that's so frightened of pink couches that you'll never walk back in that store again? I don't know what your life is going to say about you. I do wonder what my life says about me when people meet me and want to know. I posed this question to some people this week as I was thinking about, what does my life say? If you're studying my life, what does it say to you? And I was asking them, what do you think your life says about you? And one of the women that I was speaking to, she said, look, I work for a company I work for Amazon, she said, and it's thousands and thousands and thousands of employees. I don't know what my life says about me. And I said to her, I don't think it matters about the numbers. I don't think it matters. The question is still valid. When we walk into a room, are people glad to see us? When we walk into a room, or do people see creativeness, uniqueness, individualness? What do people see when you walk in about what you have created with your life? It's a good question for you to ask, and it's a good question for you to ask somebody that you trust, and it's also a good question to ask a bed salesman in R.C. Willey. What does my life say to you? Pink couches, who knows? Then once we listen to the still small voice within us, and we're grounded in our divinity, and we're confident of that, to the best of our ability. You're never going to know for sure, of course. Life is a journey. It's not a destination. We don't know. Then the only question that we have to ask ourselves is then, do I have the courage to follow my own heart's desire? That which a still small voice has spoken to me. Do I have the courage, regardless of what is going on around me, to follow the direction that Spirit has given me? Do we have the courage? Yes. Do we have the courage to say yes? My life has had setbacks. I've made mistakes. Oh, look, maybe there's some of you out there in Facebook land and some of you sitting in this room that can say, unlike me, maybe you can say, I've never had a setback. I've never made a mistake. Maybe you can say that. I've never been disappointed. I've never had a frustration. Maybe you can say that. I cannot. So I'm willing to own that about my life, right where it is right now. And I'm willing to step forth from that place and say, I'm sorry for every mistake. I'm sorry for everything I ever did to hurt. And here's what I'm going to do going forward. This is who I want to be. This is what I want my life to be. Because I want to use those setbacks, those disappointments, those frustrations, those mistakes. That's all they are, is a mistake. So take it over. I want to use those things to create a greater awareness of who I am and what my mission in life is to become. And that's what I want for all of us today. As I'm speaking about the next step, now is the time to step out authentically, divinely with who you are. I want those insights that I've gained from the mistakes, the disappointments, the frustrations, and all of that. I want them to grow and to become visible in my life right now. I want my life to say what I really want it to say and not what I think you should want it to say, or my sisters, or my mate, or anybody else. I want all of us, our lives, to say what we want it to say, what we know it should say. I'm going to tell you something, guys. I've told the story possibly before in this church, but I remember at my mother's funeral, which has now been 22 years ago, it was the last time that I ever saw a distant cousin that I had. I really did not know this cousin. I knew a lot about him from my mother. As I said, he was a distant cousin, if he was even a cousin, okay? Because, you know, in the South, we own everybody as family. I mean, you're a cousin whether you got blood or not, I don't know. But maybe he wasn't a cousin. But I just want to tell you this. Afterwards, after the memorial service, he came over to me, and as I said, I really didn't know him very well. And during the reception, and he said, could we talk for a few minutes? And I said, certainly, and we started talking, and he started telling me about his life. Now, I know all the players, I know all the people he's speaking about, and he said, you know, I'm not living the life I want to live. He said, you know, I'm stuck here in western North Carolina, in Asheville, North Carolina, he said. He said, my father wants me to be wealthy and wanted me to get a degree from a prestigious school, so I did. He went to the University of North Carolina. He said, my mother wants me to be a good Christian, and they were very mainstream Christian family. He said, so, you know, I love that. He said, so I became a devout Christian to please my mother. And he says, I'm not pleasing anybody. He said, I'm not doing anything that I want to do. And how did you break away? So that should tell you what my family thinks about me. And it's true. I was the only one to leave North Carolina at the time, you know. At the time, I was living in California. And he said, how did you break away? He said, I am just absolutely hollow. That was the word that he used, hollow. Oh, and by the way, this has absolutely nothing to do with anything, but he was also gay, that no one in the family except me knew. No one. This man was living a life that was the most unauthentic, untrue life. And I received the news quite recently that he died of a heart attack because he had a broken, hollow heart. Because he never left North Carolina, he never left the family, he never ever expressed who and what he was. This conversation that I'm having with you today is so important. It's so important for all of us because I believe we do have an opportunity to step out in a new, authentic way. And by the way, stepping out with no change is okay too. It's okay. I was having a conversation, very brief conversation, with an individual before church, and we were kind of briefly speaking about the mask mandate. And I said, well, we've lifted the mask mandate in this church because at this point we believe that everybody knows how to take care of themselves. And we're inviting them to do that. We're inviting them to step out and take care of themselves. You know what to do, not only to take care of yourself medically, emotionally, physically, mentally. We know what to do to take care of ourselves. We just have to do it. But we get stuck in doing the things the same way that we've always done them. We get stuck trying to please everybody. We get stuck in the old ways because it worked for us, didn't it? William Blake, the mystic who lived in the 1700s and early 1800s, wrote this. He said, the superior value of personal action is grounded in our own divinity. The superior value of personal action is grounded in our own divinity. You want value to every action that you take. You want value to every decision that you make. You want a value to every single thought, word, and deed that you have. It will have superior value if it is grounded in divinity, in your divinity. So how do we do that? How do we make these changes that are going to upset some people? And how do we make a new life that's going to be uncomfortable maybe for a while. It's like my new bed. How often are we going to have to? I didn't buy it, by the way, but I will. It's going to take some time to get used to the change, isn't it? It's going to take time. But if we can ask ourselves, is this grounded in my divinity or is it grounded in my humanness? Step away if it's grounded in our humanness. For a moment, step away until we can get ourselves spiritually grounded. When I think about this, and I think about my distant cousin, I cry. And I cry a little bit about the years that I wasted being a people pleaser. But also, I recognize, as many of you do, that we are where we are, and where we are is pretty darn good. And so every step led us then. So I ask myself now, here's my new question. Maybe you can borrow it. I don't know. Here's my new question. Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? And if the answer is because you heard the still small voice direct you, because it's the right thing to do, because it's who you are, it's because it's what you want your life to reflect about you, then I'm doing the right thing. But if the answer is, I don't know why I'm doing this, or I'm doing this because so-and-so needs me to do this, wants me to do this, expects me to do this, I think we should take those words and write a big black X through them. Then it's the wrong thing to be doing. It's the wrong thing to be doing. I want my head and my heart to be connected in everything that I do. I want your head and your heart to be connected in everything that you do. We have people stepping out in new careers right now. The pandemic brought forth in this country something that we have not seen in almost 300 years. When this country was founded, it was founded by a group of entrepreneurs. There were no businesses. There were no people to hire us. There were no companies paying our bills. This country was founded by a group of individuals that had that individual, rugged, entrepreneurial spirit. And the pandemic has brought that forth. In the last year, more entrepreneurial organizations, companies, small businesses have opened up than in years prior. The people who, of course, were downsized or could not make a living working in the small number of hours that were given to them, found new entrepreneurial ways to earn money and to take care of their families and themselves. Now, I'm not talking about what they're doing. That's not what's important here. I'm talking about the spirit behind what they're doing. That they found a confidence and an ability to step out and say, I don't know, but I'm going to do this because I'm being guided and I'm being directed. That is the spirit of America today. That is the spirit of our country today. And it feels good, doesn't it? Now, that's not to say if you work for an organization, I say continue to work for them, that's great. But the question to ask, am I doing this from my divinity or from a place of need or fear or desire? I'm very excited about what I feel happening. I'm very excited about the changes that I am seeing. I'm very excited about everything that I'm seeing going on around us, because this is what I know. No matter what is happening to us, there is not a condition, there is not a situation that we cannot do something about. Let me say it in the affirmative. That no matter what is going on in our lives, there is always something that we can do about it when we are grounded in our divinity. Because you and God are a majority. And you and Spirit are a powerful force, an amazing force that cannot be undone. But first, you have to let go of what has been in the past. There has never been a better time to do it than right now. Many of you know that I have been, and I am finished as of today, doing my reset in my house, in that little house, my little rental house. And yes, clapping, somebody's clapping back there because they know it's been hard work. But I want to tell you, and I've shared this a little bit with some of you about other things, but what has been fascinating with me is in the closet, in one of the closets of the house, is every color that the walls have been painted in that house. It's almost 90 years. I mean, it's quite an old house. It's been yellow. It's been red. Really, that room was red. It was kind of burgundy. It was deep, dark purple. It was white. And yesterday, many of you know that this house originally belonged to our beloved Laura Jackson, who ran our youth church. And yesterday, I was putting the last paint in that closet, and I had a few tears. Purple was her color, you know. But I thought about the person who put the red in that bedroom, and I thought, that was probably a person who liked passion. And I thought about the person who had painted that room yellow, and I thought that was an optimistic person who loved the sun and light. I thought about the room who had painted white, or I should say beige, not white, and I thought, like me, that's an undecided person. Because, by the way, it's beige again, just so you know. But I thought about what the colors said about each of the people that had lived there. I'm reminded of a little story about a little girl who was attending a wedding for the first time, for her very first time, and she leaned over and she whispered to her mother. She was about 5 years old. She whispered to her mother, "Why is the bride all dressed in white?" And her mother replied, "Because, honey, white's the color of happiness. And today is the happiest day of her life." And then the little girl looked at her mother and said, "Then why is the groom wearing black?" I just have one question to ask you and you. What color is your life? Peace and blessings. Let's just take a deep breath within. And once again, I want to say to you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for joining us. As you can see from the flag on the stage and from the photo on our monitors, that we honor our fallen men, women, and animals who have served this country so well. This is Memorial Day tomorrow. Today, people are visiting cemeteries all around our country, today and tomorrow, and they are placing flags on the graves of those men and women who stepped out with valor and courage and patriotism. And so tomorrow, when you're having your barbecue or visiting with your friends or whatever it is that you're doing, I ask you to take a moment of silence where you recognize that you are here today doing what you are doing in your homes and in this country because of these men and women who gave all, who gave their life. Let us turn within. Joe. Father, Mother God, infinite Spirit of life, how good and very, very good it is to know that we are one. And I ask our practitioner to pray with us now.
We know we are one There is only one Spirit, one Creator, one great source of all life that lives and moves and breathes through its creation. And each person listening today is part of that creation. I know that that Creator lives within me, and I know that I am never separated from my source. And what I know for myself, I absolutely know for each and every person listening to this service today, that we are all one with our source, all connected, never truly alone. And not only that, but that we are all connected with each other. We are all one through this Spirit with the one mind. So from this place of unity, I speak my word today for those who are grieving the loss of their family members, or those service people who gave their lives for our country, as we honor them on this one special day, knowing that each and every day we benefit from the sacrifice that they made for us.
Oh, yes.
So I bless each and every person as they are on this path.
And I too speak the word this morning for so many individuals that have requested personal prayer. We especially this morning are holding our beloved Bev Ballard in our prayers right now, as her mother, 91 years old, had a massive stroke and was removed from life support a few hours ago. And so we're holding Bev and we're holding her mother in our prayers, knowing that all is well, that there is a gentleness to this transition, to this time. As Bev's mother moves closer and closer to her walk with God, we just hold that entire family in peace, acceptance, and surrender. And we know for Lisa Michelle, right where she is in Los Angeles, in the hospital with another setback on her cancer journey, we know that right now all is well there. We just surround her with our absolute conviction, that God is the great physician and that all is well. Lisa Michelle's body knows what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. And we bless the nurses and the doctors and every person supporting her. We bless their fellow practitioners, praying with her, loving her, holding her at this part of her journey. This morning we are speaking the name of so many individuals requesting prayer of the body temple. Our beloved Rosalie Miedema, Mickey Vogt, Stephanie Dowling. Right where they are, I absolutely know that divine and perfect right action is taking place. No matter what that looks like, I trust and know that right there in the midst is the divine source of peace, love, and light. Oh yes. Oh yes. And for Logan, a young man who has been airlifted to Salt Lake City from Boise, who is experiencing seizures, multiple seizures. We're just and even is right now, I've been told, having seizures. We just hold him in our prayers as well. God is everywhere. God is everywhere. If God is not everywhere, then God can be nowhere. So this is what I know. That God is in the midst of every circumstance, every situation, every prayer request that has been spoken today. God is there. And therefore, we humanly can get out of our way, taking our fears with us. We can step out and allow God to be God through and as each of these situations that have been spoken here today, and for all of the unspoken ones as well. God is there, and life is good. This morning I want to say a prayer also for our beloved Mickey McKinley, who is getting better and better every day. I speak also a word of congratulations and awe for all of the students who are graduating this week and last week. We just send them forth in their lives with such conviction that they will change our world. Especially speaking, Cheryl, who donned the proud grandmother as her granddaughter graduated this week. We say, thank you, God. 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 We let it be so now. And so it is. Amen. 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 Thank you. For those of you at home and those of you in the sanctuary, I just want to give you an opportunity to speak the name of your loved one, your family member or loved one that lost their lives while serving our country in the military. Would you just stand where you are and speak their name into this room? Is there anyone here who would like to speak a name? You're being shy today, but we just know and we give thanks for all our family members. This is our conscious giving time, and as we are preparing for that, I want to just make a couple of quick announcements. There will be no Zoom hospitality today after service. We apologize for that. Dave and Loretta Knowles will not be able to be on the Zoom, and unfortunately I have a meeting right after church, so I won't be able to host it. So know that beginning next week we'll be back on our Zoom hospitality hour. That's for those of you who are at home that want to talk about the service or talk about anything that's going on. Those of you in the sanctuary, please stay after service and have a little bit of hospitality with us. Today is our first day of hospitality. Our prayer room is open. Our prayer room is open, and so you can go into the prayer room, which is located at the end of the West Hall. You can go right through this door, and you can receive prayer. Our practitioners will be waiting for you to pray right after service. You do not have to wear a mask. You can be there, and also I remind you, those of you who are in the sanctuary, there are prayer requests in the back seats of the chairs. You can fill out this prayer request and put it in the offering basket. As you leave the church, we're going to, today we're going to have, is that what we decided? I forgot. Are we going to pass, JJ? You going to pass the basket? JJ's going to pass the basket today. So just stay right where you are, and JJ will come to you today for offering, or she'll tell you what to do. I don't know. Okay, this is my new rule. If I don't know, I'm going to tell you. JJ will handle it. All of you in the room, okay? Follow JJ's lead. But back to prayer for just a moment. Those of you who are on Facebook Live with us, again, we're so happy that you're here. Share this if it brought you any information and you just want to let your friends know or your family know about the church that you attend. Share this on your Facebook page, and that's how people get to know us if you're so moved. Also, for those of you who are at home and you wish prayer, you can put it right on the live feed right now. Our practitioners pick that up, or you can call any of the practitioners that are listed there on the live feed right now, or you can go to prayers, that's plural, prayers at cslboise.org, and you can put a confidential prayer request into the prayer ministry today. I also want to remind you that we do have a prayer line, which is 208-375-0791. 208-375-0791. You can call that prayer line 24 hours a day. You'll hear an uplifting quote or affirmation or whatever we call them from our prayer director, Loretta Knowles. And you can leave your prayer requests there as well. If you need immediate assistance, please call. Please call any of our practitioners that are listed on our website. Please call them. They will work with you. Call the church. Do not be alone if you need assistance. Friday night, I was here working a little bit late, and I received a phone call on the prayer line, on the church line, and it was a woman who does not attend this church, nor do I know her. But she said to me, "Do you have any services tonight?" "We don't on Friday night," I told her, but I heard in her voice that she needed help. And so I said, "What can I do? Let's talk." That's what we do. That's what we want to do for you. So please call if you need help. Step out. Step out in God. And step out on our consciousness while you develop your own. So thank you so much. This is our conscious giving time, and let's just take our gift and our offering in our hands, or for those of you at home, or those of you can hold your heart. I want to say this, that there are lots of different ways to give. Again, it's all on our website. Not hundreds of ways, but lots of ways, at least 30 ways to give. So let's just take our gift, our offering in our hand. This has been received this week. We're so grateful. As we say, Divine Mind as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I share. And so it is. Amen, amen, amen. Ladies and gentlemen, the dynamic Becky Blake.
Great message today. You might slip, you might slide, stumble and fall by the roadside, but don't you ever let nobody drag your spirit down. That's right. See, we're walking up to heaven. Don't let nobody turn you round. Don't you do it now. Yeah, you walk with the rich, walk with the poor. You learn from everybody, cause that's what life is for. Now don't you ever let nobody drag your spirit down. Now I'm talking to you, yeah. Say we're walking up to heaven. Don't let nobody turn you round. Rex Miller on the keyboard, everybody. Here we go. Phil, get tribal on those drums. Phil Bowden. Okay, Rick. Well, some say yes, some say no. I'm gonna just wait, see which way the wind's gonna blow. But don't you ever let nobody drag your spirit down. No, don't you do it. See, we're walking up to heaven. Don't let nobody turn you around. Ted McClure on that bass. Fuck that thing, baby. spirit of gospel, 'cause I believe it's true. So don't you ever let nobody now drag your spirit down. Yeah, that's the truth. See, we're walking up to heaven. Don't let nobody turn you around. Take me one time, gentlemen. See, we've been walking up to heaven. Good God, don't let nobody turn you around. Have a great week. Have a great week.
Please stand to receive your blessing. What a beautiful day and what a beautiful sight to see all your faces. So, as you go forth from this place, wrapped in love and peace and joy, let's spread it around and have a great week.